Good evening. It's bourbonblog.com bringing you some tastings from one of my favorite gentlemen in the business. It's Jordan Vai, master distiller. They're at Savage and Cooke in Mare Island. How's it going, Jordan?
Going well, Tom. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, and of course, loving everything from the lip service to the burning chair, second glance, and then one of the best treats of the year are these two new ones, the Little Guero and the Guero, the Rye. These are delicious. These are really, these are spectacular because you all had done some other Gueros in the past, hadn't you?
We did. So this has become, our program for stuff that ages out of our core products. I try to keep our bourbon whiskey a 4-year blend. Some 5-year, inevitably gets in there because you can't, not use what you have. But as it gets to about 6-year, I start tucking it to the back of the rick house, and we didn't know how long we were going to hold it, but we decided to release it at 7-year. It was tasting delicious. Did not put a wine barrel finish on it. In the case of our own bourbon whiskey, we put a Cabernet Sauvignon finish on it.
Yes.
It seemed like, gilding up something that was already delicious on its own. So this is just an expression of what, we had originally distilled in Indiana, but brought here within its first year of life and aged 7 years here on the island. It's sandwiched between the mouth of the Napa River and San Pablo Bay. We've got a very a unique little microclimate here that we're aging stuff up in.
So again, it started its life brand new in Indiana, and it traveled there to Mare Island. Most all of its whole 7 years, it's been sandwiched there between the Bay, between Napa. What is that microclimate doing to that bourbon? What's it doing here that it wouldn't do elsewhere?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. We certainly don't have the conditions. We certainly don't have the heat index that you have out in Indiana or Tennessee, right. Kentucky. But we do have pretty good fluctuations of temperature, and the buildings that we're aging these in, what we've repurposed as rick houses. This was an old naval facility, and so all of these buildings were to some purpose, parts buildings, administrative buildings, whatnot for the Navy when they were here. But we've selected the buildings carefully.
Yes.
And particularly for the barrel houses, ones that, trap a little more heat in the summer and retain some of that heat through the winter. But then also, we can throw the windows open and cool it down in the winter so we can get those cycles of respiration within the barrel. And, we're not hitting 110 degrees at the top of the rick house. It's not Indiana. But we are hitting, 98, 100. So maybe a little bit slower in aging, but significant, probably not terribly so. It's kind of, 10, 15 degrees. Well, not important. Still not the most important part of it. Our own cooperage that it went into here that we get from Second Moreau, medium plus toast, toast heads, char number 3 for the char level inside. Beautiful 24-month aged wood, and so it's. I could probably throw a lot of flowery adjectives to you about like flavor descriptors and whatnot, but that's not really me. It does have a unique flavor. I did get some of the whiskey that's from the same time period, made over at MGPI, that's aged up in their warehouses just as an experiment.
Oh, wow.
About 6 months ago, and put them next to each other. And they're completely different whiskeys.
That must be really interesting too, thinking that it's been there in California 7 years, in Indiana for 7 years. Of course, as I was mentioning before the interview, on the Little Guero, this is some real big, nice, like dark fruit. I'm getting some nice buttery notes, some nice brown sugar. It has some beautiful warmth, almost holiday-esque. to a sort of degree. What kind of differences did you get between what was in Indiana and what you age? I'm curious.
Allow me to revisit, sir.
You're going to be revisiting, yes. I always like revisiting those whiskeys.
Yeah, no. Actually, I think I drank most of this before I got on the call with you. So, excuse me if I'm all over the place. No, you're right. It's a lot of those same primaries. I mean, the 24-month age stave isn't really industry standard. It is for some people. I'm not saying that people are using a lot younger wood, but especially nowadays there's a bit of an oak shortage. There was again back in 2016. A lot of people are using wood that hasn't quite developed in the stave yard as long. A lot of 18-month, 24-month, and some of that even finished in kilns to dry it out enough to make it usable for coopering. The nice thing about this cooperage that I work with here, Second Moreau, they've 24 months. I'm sorry, 36 months of sitting in the stave yard. It's kind of like their minimum standard. It makes the wood a little more expensive. I am paying more for these, although saving quite a bit. Not shipping them here, especially with today's gas prices and trucking prices as they are. But no, so I only bring this up because the capillary system of the wood has been a little more liberated by the interaction with the things that happen in the stave yard, fungus and bacteria and whatnot going through there, and kind of removing some of the barriers to the internal structure of the wood. They're very meticulous with their toasting. Very accurate toast at about 50 to 60 minutes over a cowled wood fire, getting a nice deep toast into it. Well, medium plus, not quite deep.
So it was toasted before it was charred.
Toasted before it was charred. Yeah. And then
that's something special. Yeah.
Charred to a number 3, just to denature the tannins, surface tannins and whatnot that's in there, but real modified hemicellulose layer of that wood. So all of those cis and trans oak lactones are really turned into these beautiful, the things you were just talking about, butterscotch, caramel.
It's those serious big notes of a bourbon, but not so bold that it knocks you over. It has some elegance.
Yeah. Brown sugar, almost, the combination of the vanilla and the brown sugar, almost like a creme brulee kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Effect. Yeah.
So again, part of it is that barrel. I mean, obviously, part of it's the wonderful skills and mastery there at Savage and Cooke and Jordan Vine, but it's the barrel, it's the atmosphere. It's a barrel that it's not. I mean, barrels that they do, a lot of them are used in the wine business, but there's not a ton of distilleries using their barrels, or are there?
They're not. There's a few around here. It's getting more common now that places. There's so much new whiskey in the world, in the country specifically. That places like Independent Stave Company and Kelvin Cooperage and West Virginia Great Barrel Company and some of the bigger places where we would normally get our wood, which I got most of our wood from in Breckenridge. They just don't have the capacity to take on new distilleries anymore. It's really nice having an inside track with the wine industry here through Dave Finney and the connections he has, and just being here, located 20 minutes south of Napa Valley. I've got I'm working with I don't want to say a higher class. It's just a different type of barrel maker, different type of cooper that is really meticulous in their selection of wood, in the way they age it out, and the way they cooper it, and the way they toast and char it. So it's nice to have that kind of secondary artisan effect on the whiskey.
Right. Oh, it makes a big difference. And even beyond just finishing your whiskeys in Napa Cab barrels, the French Grenache, of course, on the lip service, there is a passion, a heart for winemaking, an approach that you all take at Savage and Cooke that's different than some distilleries, right?
We do. I mean, your typical winemaker would still think this distillery is not clean enough, but that's just winemakers. They gotta do it real hard for one part of the year and then clean up and then they're done. So it's a little bit easier to do. We're crushing every day.
Yes.
But it's no, I mean we careful yeast selection, careful temperature control, which I know most people in the industry now are exercising some form of temperature control. We probably go a little lower than what Tennessee or Indiana or Kentucky would consider necessary or even practical. We try to ferment close to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And that takes a lot of effort with the cooling jackets and making sure you knock down to a temperature where your lag phase isn't going to push you way past your target fermentation temperature. So it takes a little longer in the day to get it down to say 80 degrees before we put it into the fermentation tanks and inoculate. Careful enzyme additions, which are all natural stuff, but added to not just maximize our yield, but maximize our flavor potential. Release the right kind of precursors to the flavor that we're looking for. And then we don't use the most aggressive yeast. We don't use a not aggressive yeast either. We use one that can accomplish fermentation. We do go a little longer fermentation, 7 days for us. Industry standards about 3 to 4, which a lot of people would say is a little inefficient, but that's okay. We're willing to wait the 7 days to get a negative sugar content, negative. Sorry, you know me, Tom.
No, it's helpful.
I get a little technical sometimes. But
no, how does that help? How does the 7-day fermentation help?
Well, you get a higher alcohol yield because the yeast have a chance to work through all the available sugars, at least most of them, and get your brew house efficiency up around 85 to 88%, sometimes 90%, which is pretty great.
Right.
That is unfermentables, your limit dextrins. You got to accept that some of the sugars that are there that have been unlocked from the starch matrix are just not fermentable. But 88, if I can get 88 consistently, I'm pretty happy. So
good. And there's not many American distilleries that will do 7-day fermentation, right? Not
that I know of. I mean, again, everybody's got their own way to do it. We do it not only for the the additional benefit that we get from it, the slightly higher yield. There's a big argument. It's a good argument that we've got 90% of it done in 3 or 4 days. So why wait 3 to 4 more days to get an extra 10% in yield? But it's not really about that for us. We set up the distillery in such a way that we can do 20,000 gallons of wash a week, 4 or 5,000 gallon fermenters, 5,000 gallons a day of wash produced, 5,000 gallons a day of distillation accomplished. And, we put in a 24-inch Vendome copper and brasswork system coupled to a slightly oversized doubler, a 500-gallon doubler. And, that'll eat through the 5,000 gallons in about 5.5 hours. We run it about 17 to 18 gallons per minute. So it's not making for a long, inefficient day. And that yields us about 2,000 barrels a year on a 10-month rotation. So we don't need to do run any harder than that. Now we're already, as sales increase and, we're in year 5 now, year 4 of production, year 5 of being open. We're already looking at expanding production capacity.
Wow.
And that's always been an easy thing. We built that in from the beginning. We've got another small building where we can park about 40,000 gallons more of fermentation capacity and, take us to an 18-hour day instead of a 6 or 7 hour day and triple our capacity up to about 6,000 barrels a year. And then we'll have to start thinking about building a new place, but that'd be a good problem to have.
Yes. Well, I mean, you've been growing it so much. And again, if you're a fan of Savage & Cooke, look for both of these new Gueros, but also look for their core line, the lip service, which is right behind me. Hold up one of those too, Jordan. You have one of the new bottles. The lip
yes,
service.
yes. So that's
the new bottles, the rye whiskey finished in Grenache. Here's the new bottle.
Right behind Mr. Fischer over there. That's the lip service rye.
That's the vintage bottle.
Yes, and we started putting them in an opaque black glass. That was
right.
The way he designed the label. I think it's a beautiful package. But the people have spoken. They wanted clear glass. They wanted to see the whiskey they were buying. So we've gone to clear glass. I think the label looks just as good.
It really does. It looks amazing. You can see that color. It's beautiful. That's the rye whiskey finished in Grenache, which we love. You have the burning chair, of course, the second glance. They're all perfect and just so complex. And as people will often tell me in their own way when they're tasting this at tastings, it's very cocktail-esque. It's very layered. It's very it's great in a cocktail, but it also has this just beautiful bit of everything that no other whiskey quite has in the market, Jordan. Really.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Yeah. No, all of our core products are finished in wine barrels that come from Dave Finney's extensive wine portfolio.
Yes.
But yes, we've gotten away from the black glass. We are now in the clear glass, and still same custom mold, same, crazy, eccentric glass stopper that's about the most expensive thing you can jam in the neck of a bottle.
It is. And you have that on these too. It's
we kept it.
You don't see that every day in the whiskey world either, do you?
Not too much. It's
I like it.
They're another homage to the wine industry. It's actually called a vino lock.
Vino lock.
Yeah.
I like it. Does it keep it even like sealed tighter than most whiskeys would, or?
I mean, cork is, permeable.
Right.
The glass is not. It has a little rubber, silicone stopper around it. It's a food grade thing, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen any kind of. I've definitely left bottles laying around, especially in the library, in the laboratory. I haven't seen any kind of early oxidation to the surface of the whiskey. When you leave a bottle of whiskey around, it's a little cloudy on the top. We certainly don't have any leaks.
No, you don't. I mean, you really don't. I love the.
No, these are very, very sturdy. So
I love the bottles. All right, we're going to also taste again the other new Guero, a rye whiskey that's aged 6 years, that's been finished in used cognac barrels. We should probably tell folks though, where does the name Guero come from?
And here's the thing, Tom. I keep trying to call you Tom, and just for your viewers, I've known Tom for a good 11, 12 years now.
Right.
And, early on, Bourbon Blog, I just started blending Bourbon Blog and Tom together and just calling him BBT. So I'm going to call you BBT.
You can call me. That's right. That's your nickname for me. It's all right. You can call me that.
I keep trying to remember to call you Tom.
No, it's BBT when it's George. Anybody can call me BBT, actually. It's fun.
Screwing up my
flow. Thank you.
Okay. So, oh my God, where were we?
Well, the Guero, where's the name come from?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm sure it's going to appear in the comments because your Spanish is terrible. It's actually Guero.
Guero.
Yes. And now that's an endearing term that's often used here in wine country for like it's
all right.
How do I put this? It means like whitey or yeah. And it's, there's always one like kind of the new white guy on the picking team or on the crush pad who's screwing things up every now and then, but it's still an endearing term. They just call you Guero. Hey, fucking go get that Guero. Take all this out to the field, Guero. It's cool. They're actually liking you. The team is accepting you if they call you Guero. So when they start calling you like Pinche Way, you've got to watch out. That's So anyway, Dave, out in his wine career, I had a brief wine career, as we've discussed, before I started making whiskey.
Right.
And we've both been the Guero on the team at any winery. So yeah, Dave just
that's what they call Dave, right? And you
that's
too.
what they call Dave. I think there's still some people with that, after his 20 years of making wine and being pretty damn good at it, still call him Guero, just because that was what they called him when he was on the first team all those years ago.
I love the authenticity for the name, for the label. I mean, it really does. It has all that and more for what you all represent. I mean, it tells the story. This is telling the story. And this is a rye whiskey that is, where's it come from?
Yeah, so again, just like the Lil Guero, the bourbon whiskey, it's from our own stock. Produced for us 6 years ago. Brought my lip service rye, what you have behind you, and the one we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Really, the age statement on that bottle says 3 years, and I try to keep the majority of what's in the bottle 3 years average age. Some 4-year makes it in there quite often, but once they hit about 5, again, I tuck them in the back of the rick house and try to forget about them for a little while. We'll figure out what we're going to do with them later. We can either sell them on to the bulk market, which I hate doing, because they're very unique to our, like I said, our little microclimate, our barrel program and everything here. But we just kind of left it back there, and then this year we decided to do some reserves, and so I didn't put it into the Grenache barrels like we do our house blend. I had some Cognac barrels from House Martel.
Wow.
Out of Cognac, France, and yeah, I put about 30% of it into those for 60 days and blended it back into the whole blend. We only put out about 4,000 bottles. It's
pretty rare then.
Yeah, fairly rare. It's, we put them out to some select places. I know you guys have it out there. You're still in Indiana, right?
I'm right on the border of Indiana and Kentucky. You did it at some Indiana and Kentucky liquor stores?
We did. Indiana, Kentucky, and we try to distribute a little bit to every one of the states. We're in 43 states now, which is really nice. We've got a broad distribution on it. We are supporting all those markets. And
I get those Cognac notes. I get the rye notes. It's so well balanced. I mean, obviously, you're using wonderful rye whiskey. It's been aged there predominantly. You're using this wonderful Cognac. Which was it? One of the Cordon Bleus then? Barrels?
Yeah. It was the Martel Cordon Bleu.
Man.
And they were punch-ins, which are 500-liter barrels. So, twice the size of your a little over twice the size of your standard wine barrel, which is 225-liter.
I mean, you've done some other finishings of whiskeys and Cognac and other brandies. I mean, and I've had others too. I've tasted them. This is truly one of the most magnificent. It really is.
Thank you, man.
What did you think of it? Were you pretty happy with it too?
It's one of the best things I've ever made. I will honestly say that. I've made.
It is delicious. It really is.
I've made dozens of whiskeys in my career. I've been lucky to work for a lot of people who did a lot of different things. But this is one I'm very proud of. It's bottled at 100 proof.
It's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah.
I think it'll be one that once everyone hears about it, it'll either be gone or it'll be hunted down or both.
It's pretty much gone from our distributors already. So find it at your local liquor store and snatch a bottle up because part of it.
Go look for both of these. And also, I mean, obviously with holidays coming, you have your bad sweater coming as every holiday. This is like everything that's great about the holidays in a bottle with a, it even has a, you put a scarf on it. You might get cold.
You
didn't want that whiskey to get too cold, did you?
Next year, I think we'll put a little like beanie on it. Hat with maybe like a palm and maybe some little gloves the next year. Who knows? You'll eventually have like a weird Kenny kind of Maybe a parka that
You
you're
put a corn cob pipe in it, then, and then it's smoking.
elf on the shelf, maybe just
It
right.
might be the elf on the shelf. What do you infuse into this? It's so good, Jordan.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah.
It's vanilla, not nutmeg, but mace, which is a part of the nutmeg plant.
Right.
Orange peel, California orange peel.
So nice.
A little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of cardamom. Oh gosh, I should know all these, but I don't.
Well, it should be.
I wrote it down.
Secret. We don't want anyone to. Not that they could replicate it, but.
Hey, I would love for somebody to send that to me. And then just a touch of brown sugar. Anytime you put sugar in something, you have to disclose it on the label. Yeah. Not always. There's certain things you can get away with, but with this category of whiskey, you do, and it's under 1.5%. So it's not sweet. It's just
put a little brown sugar in that. Do you ever crank up some Rolling Stones as you're putting that brown sugar in? Listen to that.
I should.
Yeah, I mean, there's some distilleries that'll play music to their barrels as they age, but
I just purely Gregorian chant for me.
That's all that you have to do, George. You just have to give it a Gregorian chant. Just once a day is all you do, right? It's always good to see you, man. This is so much fun seeing you and talking about your new whiskeys. Anything else? This is so much. Anything else coming we should know about?
Here at Savage Cooke, we're trying to stay focused on the whiskeys. We did well out in Breckenridge with all the vodkas and the specialty rums and the malt whiskey we made, which I'm very proud of. I'm proud of all of those things, but we're really trying to stay focused on the core brands here, primarily sticking to just whiskeys. That being said, we have the restaurant that opened up late 2020 as the pandemic lockdowns wound down. It's been very popular through 2021, 2022. And for that, I've made some white spirits, a gin, a vodka, a white rum. But hey, you got to come out here to try those because we're going to
be out there soon, man. And we're going to be trying some of your Colonel's fried chicken soon.
There you go. Yes.
There's a Colonel that's there.
We've got our executive chef here as a Colonel because of people.
Well, look, we can't wait to see all of you and have the fried chicken, try the whiskey. Hey, if you're going out that way, you guys are doing tours. If you're in Napa, go visit these guys, see the place. But no matter where you are, have their whiskey. The Gueros, the lip service, the burning chair, the second glance, the bad sweater, and the cocktails in a bottle. All of it.
Tom, thank you. And it's been too long since we've gotten together and drank in person, although we drink on the phone and on video quite frequently. So
I like this. It's always fun having a good sip with you, my friend. Cheers. And everybody, thanks for watching and for all your comments below. Cheers, Jordan.
Cheers, my friend. Thank you, everybody. Drink up.